So Wes, I called you back. I summoned you here once again.
Yeah, you did.
To discuss a film. This is Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1986.
86, sir.
Yeah, directed by Charles Martin Smith. A fun fact for you about Charles Martin Smith, he directed this along with Dolphin's Tale.
That's the one we're doing next week.
So, yeah, this movie is Trick or Treat, a.k.a. Ragman.
Depending on where you watch it.
Exactly. Ragman or Death at 33 RPM.
That's the coolest one.
That is the coolest one.
Which, by the way, a little bit misleading on the Halloween thing takes a back seat to everything else.
Very.
But I think Ragman would have been fine, but would it have gotten people in the seats in theaters in 1986? Ragman doesn't really, that's neither fish nor fowl.
No.
Trick or Treat, with Halloween being a big franchise in the 80s and late 70s.
Yeah. Just
anything Trick or Treat, that'll get people in the seats more so than a movie called Ragman.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a more catchy, a more well-known name. Ragman wouldn't mean anything to anybody, unless you watch the film, because that is the main character's nickname.
That's his nom de plume.
Exactly, yeah.
I've seen every 80s horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly the campy slasher stuff I like a lot. There's some really good ones and there's some really bad ones, obviously. This one doesn't really count. If you look at like lists of like slasher films and stuff of the 80s, this doesn't really, it might make a list or so because it's a horror movie, but it's not a slasher per se. I just avoided it because I don't like Gene Simmons as a person, and I don't like his music. So anyway, I avoided this movie for the last few years. Not something that was on my radar. I like Halloween-themed movies too. And I still avoided this movie until last week when you texted me. That's my history with Trick or Treat,
so
aka Ragman.
You've actively avoided this movie for a long time.
Yeah, if somebody like you would have said 2 years ago, let's watch this movie, I would have said sure. But just me personally, like maybe a couple nights a week before I go to bed, I'll watch something.
Sure.
This would not have been on my radar.
Also, the way that they market this movie is very misleading because the cover is just a picture of Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne.
Awfully misleading.
Awfully misleading.
Yes.
So this movie is about Eddie Weinbauer. That's our main character. He is essentially a music nerd. He's a lot like I was in high school. You know, I had the posters of all the...
Twisted Sister?
You know, good. Metallica and 311 and all the bands that I grew up listening to. Like, he loves music. And his favorite musician, his hero, is Sammy Kerr.
Yep. He goes to the same high school that Kerr had graduated from years prior.
Right, yeah.
We learned that in the letter that we hear his inner dialogue, you know.
The one thing that holds me together is you. You. You did it, man. You went to this fucking school and you rose above it. Now you're on top.
Yeah, so that's another reason because, Sammy, like you said, comes from the same school, but he got out. He made a name for himself. He's like the biggest rock star on the planet now, so that's where a lot of his sort of admiration comes from because he's bullied at school.
Yeah.
Those first few shots of him in high school.
Hey, metalhead.
Yeah, you get the stereotypical jocks. They're picking on him. Whole opening sequence. There's no dialogue in it, I don't think. It's all music, and it's like a slow shot, but he's taking a shower after gym, and they're like going through his stuff.
They snag his towel and...
push him out the door to the gym area where the girls are playing volleyball, and he's buck naked, and he's like crawling on his belly so that way they don't see him.
Yeah, you can see his ass.
Back in. You can see his ass, yeah. Exactly.
It's only the second best nudity in the movie. True. But there was only 2 nude scenes in the movie, so...
There were, yeah.
By default, this dude's ass is the second best.
It's the second best in the movie. Yeah, so he's made fun of at school. He's an outcast. He's far from the popular kid. But he sees somebody in Sammy Kerr who himself, I guess, could be considered an outcast. He's like old Alice Cooper or old Ozzy. Very controversial. There's like the clip of him on the news where he's on stage. He rips the head off the snake and he's drinking the blood, and he's one of those
shock rocker.
And he even tried to perform at the high school that he and Eddie go to. He tried to perform there for Halloween, and they denied.
Yes, we learned that one as well.
They said no. So.
Yeah, his satanic music is not welcome at the high school fall dance or whatever it was. It would have been homecoming at a normal high school, which is always around October at a normal high school.
Yeah.
This was just some kind of Halloween concert.
Exactly. So he's doing laundry one day. He's listening to Sammi Curr.
I have a problem with this scene.
You just see the news report. They're talking about Sammy's life and all this other stuff. And then right at the end of the news broadcast, it's like, Sammi Curr died.
Again, rock star Sammi Curr, victim of a hotel fire, dead at age 38.
Talk about burying the lead in the worst way possible. They started that segment, that news segment, as how controversial he was and all this stuff, and then talked to, was it Large Marge? Do you bury the lead on a news broadcast by doing a 5-minute story about a person and then at the end saying, dead at 38 years old? No. You would say, he's dead, let's talk about him.
Sure.
Not, let's talk about him, he's dead. So that's how he finds out. He's doing laundry. You are correct. Now, I in my notes, I had written down, that's the definition of burying a leading headline. You bury it by just completely shitting all over the fact that that guy's dead. Sorry, I had a big problem with that part. By the way, it made me laugh.
While he's going through the grieving process, he goes and visits a radio DJ friend named Newt, played by the one and only Gene Simmons. And a great moment that I have to mention real quick, the record that he's playing on the air starts skipping, and he gets upset, and he starts slamming on the record player.
Equipment, look at this place! You believe it? Nothing ever works!
I can attest to that.
I know you can.
That is a very common thing that happens in radio stations. I got a good laugh out of that because I was there so many times. When he goes to visit Nuke, the big thing that happens in that scene is he has in his possession the last Sammi Curr record that has yet to be released. And the big plan for him is to play this record at midnight on Halloween. And he takes it home. He starts to play it, right? But then he starts to hear some weird noises on the record. So
he does. He falls asleep to it.
Exactly, yeah. And he has like a dream or a vision maybe of Sammi Curr in that hotel just burning up.
Were they performing like some kind of black magic rituals? It looks like they might have been.
They might have been, yeah. He immediately knows to start playing the record backwards. When he does, the record starts talking to him directly, right? And it gives him some ideas on how to get revenge on those school bullies.
Let the big fish hook themselves. You're the bait. The bait is you.
Lighthearted prank, right? Get back at these guys, get them in trouble, let them do it themselves.
The way that was shot looked like they really did like ransack the band, like trying to play, and like there was like symbols flying like at like other people's faces and stuff.
Yeah.
Someone on that shot might have got hurt. It looked really real.
It did, yeah. They might have.
They weren't using fake symbols.
No.
That just flew.
Well, the whole school looked real, so I'm assuming they actually filmed that in an actual high school somewhere.
It was a really cool shot.
It was.
It was a really cool sequence.
He goes home and he makes a cassette copy of the recording. And then the next day at school, he gives that to the bully as like a peace offering. The bully and his girlfriend, they're getting it on. He finishes, walks into the woods to use the bathroom. She finds the cassette tape sitting in the car, puts it in her headset?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Her Walkman?
I don't remember the specifics, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Starts listening to it, and then all of a sudden, the spirit of Sammi Curr starts to come out of the headset and take her clothes off, like Ray from Ghostbusters. She opens her eyes. The ghost turns into a puppet monster for a hot second.
Don't know what that is.
I don't either, man. I don't know where that comes from.
I thought she was dead, but we find out later in dialogue that it's not that case.
Exactly, yeah. She's just hospitalized. She's in really bad shape. They cut to somebody exercising. I don't know which character it was. On the television, they are talking to a Reverend Aaron Gilstrom.
Yeah, Aaron Gilstrom.
Yes, played by one Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, I thought it was played by Donny Osmond.
Close.
No, it was Ozzy. It was the Prince of Darkness himself.
It was the Prince of Darkness himself talking about
Absolutely.
the evils of rock music and how they're trying to pervert all of us to be just like them.
Really have a strange sense of humor, don't they?
I don't even think it's a sense of humor. I think they're just out-and-out sick people. I mean, and they're trying to make everyone else around them who listens to their music as sick as they are.
Yep.
Again, going back to the satanic panic of the 80s.
Yeah, and he actually was accused of that with some of his suicide, or what was it? I forget what song it was, but there was a it was a Nazi song that was somebody committed suicide and he was blamed for it back in the 80s. And
Trying to find a clue to his son's death, Jack McCollum has spent hours searching the lyrics of Osbourne's music.
This might have been before that, but subliminal messaging was a big part of 80s culture, as long, with the Satanic Panic and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was a perfect little cameo.
And you did something to that tape. I don't know what you did, but you're getting into some weird fucking shit, man. And I just want you to stay away from me, okay?
But now we're starting to know that Ragman ass is starting to be a little bit concerned.
Now things are getting a little more dangerous, a little more serious. And Sammy actually starts to turn on Eddie, because once Eddie realizes that this isn't a joke and this isn't like some sort of wish fulfillment, some sort of dream come true that he can communicate with Sammy, then he starts to tell him, I don't want any more part of this. We need to stop it all together. Let's just call it quits.
I think we should end it. I don't want to do anymore.
Well, Sammy's not having it. He even threatens to take revenge on his mom at one point, because his mom was trying to get his attention in the bedroom.
Sammy starts playing with like, yeah, Mom, come in. Yeah, Mom, come in. Yeah, Mom, come in.
Go away. Mom, could you come in here? Don't come in. What? Mom, do not come in here. Please come in, Mom.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, tries to lure her in, and then he finally goes out and tells her,
I'm sick. I'm
sick. That's right. Yeah, I'm sick.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you some aspirin. And then he wants to prolong the process. He goes, and some soup.
Yeah, good. Okay, aspirin and some soup.
Sammy escapes from the record. Yeah, he's manifested himself into physical form. He's no longer restricted to just that record. And then he sees Ozzy, and then he just drags his hand across the television, and you see Ozzy like screaming in pain, grabbing his face, and then it cuts to black.
These evil people have just got to be stopped.
And that's the money shot of the movie.
It is.
Aside from Ragman's ass.
Eddie freaks out, starts to destroy all of his stereo equipment with the record player, the record itself. He takes the baseball bat and just destroys everything. Gone, right? But then he remembers, oh shit, I made a copy of it with the cassette tape. His friend manages to get the tape, lies to him, says, yeah, I destroyed it, but he actually took it home.
He did not destroy it.
No, he took it home, threw it in the tape player. Sammy is there. And this leads to probably my favorite part of the whole movie is when he reaches through the television, grabs Large Marge, pulls her through the TV.
Maggie, it's a sad day for all of us. But as it began...
And she's just a smoking husk. Fantastic. Yeah. I love how they did that effect. I think it's amazing. And yeah, it was a great little moment.
I loved it.
So he actually spares the friend, says, hey, I want you to play this cassette at the Halloween dance tonight. If you don't, I'll kill you. So his friend heads to the dance, manages to get the tape into the tape deck. Love interest calls Eddie.
And when she called him, she's like, are you coming to the dance? He's like, no. But then he hears what's in the background. Ragman ass does. He's like, what is that in the background, Leslie? And she's like, I don't know. Boom, hangs up and runs.
Mm-hmm. The dance is going to have a live band perform. Sammy starts messing with the equipment. The lead singer goes to check on his amp. Sammy's hand comes out, grabs the singer by the face, and blows him up.
Yep.
And in this great shot, his guitar goes flying up in the air. Sammy grabs it.
Boom.
Just takes over the whole show. Now it's the Sammy Kerr show.
By the way, the backing band, were they just possessed?
I was wondering that too, because they knew exactly what to play.
Yeah, they did.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
This was his first few notes, were just this. At first they're like, okay, and then they got into it.
Yeah, because at first when he grabs the guitar, he puts his arms up like this to get everybody amped up, and nobody's doing anything. So
well, then people are thoroughly confused.
Of course, yeah, they just saw a man die. Sammy Kerr actor Tony Fields.
Yeah.
Great dance moves. The guy
Not
physically
bad.
was amazing. Not so great lip syncing.
No.
His lip syncing was pretty bad.
There's left to be desired. Yeah,
a lot left to be desired. But great moves. From what I understand, the guy was a dancer.
He was an extra in Thriller, or he was like a...
Yeah, he was in Thriller, yeah. Passed away from AIDS, unfortunately, a few years ago.
You just took it down, but I was going to do a joke that he invented this move.
He may have.
Let's make this proclamation right now. He contracted AIDS by doing this move.
And then he really did turn into a zombie.
And then he What's next?
Then all of a sudden, during his guitar solo, he starts shooting lightning at people.
Yeah.
At first, they don't seem to notice that people are blowing up around them.
No, not right away.
But then they catch on, and everybody starts to panic. Eddie makes it to the school, catches up with Bully.
He does.
Tells him he needs to get the hell out because people are dying. The guy refuses.
He still has a bone to pick with him.
He does. And then Sammy grabs Bully by the head, licks his finger, puts it into an electrical socket. We don't get to see anything, but my assumption is that his head explodes.
I think so.
I think that's a safe bet, right?
We're meant to believe that.
Okay, yeah. Eddie finds Lisa, Lindsay? Leslie. Eddie finds Leslie. They try to escape the school. They figure out that if they cut the power, they can stop Sammy.
Go find the power. Go find the,
Eddie's friend comes in to save the day, jams a metal rod into the electrical box.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, electrocutes himself, but essentially does stop Sammy.
Yeah, he stopped Sammy Kerr for the moment being.
The friend survives. He just got a bit of a shock.
And at this point, a big crowd outside the high school, right? And then there's cops there that are asking questions and stuff. And it was Sammy Kerr. That guy died 2 days ago. When Eddie Ragman ass ran out with Leslie, Leslie's like, I'm gonna follow you. And he's like, why? I don't know.
What are you doing? I'm coming with you. Why? I don't know.
She follows him into a weird alleyway, and then they get into a car.
They go back to Eddie's house, and Eddie and Leslie start smashing up all the electronics in the house. But once the radio station starts playing the
acetone,
Sammy does show up, and they stop him again with the toilet.
This is my favorite part.
Yeah, no, that was great to see Sammy Kerr pinned down by the toilet.
Yeah.
And then they take the cop car, they head to the radio station to destroy the last tape, but Sammy is protecting it with lightning. So then Eddie gets the idea, well, let me draw him away from the radio station. Leslie, you stay here, count to 100, and then you run in and destroy it. So
what if you don't come back? Then I'll come back later.
Right, exactly. So Eddie grabs a radio, throws it in the back of the cop car, entices Sammy to come out. Sammy does.
By calling him a poser.
Rock's chosen warrior is nothing but a fucking whip poser.
Like, that's the one thing.
He gets Sammy to manifest himself in the back of this cop car, and then while he's in physical form, he drives the cop car off of a bridge into a river. Killing Sammy Kerr for good.
Yeah, not Eduardo.
Eddie survives, makes his way back to the radio station on foot, soaking wet.
He finds Leslie, right?
He finds that Leslie has destroyed the final tape.
He lay a smooch on her.
He does. They kiss, and then Eddie gets on the microphone and pops in a cassette tape, and then that's where the movie ends.
Wake up, sleepyheads. It's party time.
Wes, what is your final verdict on Trick or Treat?
Against what I thought it would be, and watching it in the last couple of weeks, I watched it twice. I told you I watched it twice in the last 2 weeks on separate occasions. I'll give it an A overall. So if you want to drink a really nice bourbon that's aged 12 years, and you want to watch a really good 80s movie that is not really a slasher, but it's a good 80s horror movie, and not so much a Halloween movie, I probably will put this on my list of just movies that I'll watch. 80s movies that I'll just have on rotation. This will go on that list, man.
I completely agree. I rank this with a good Friday the 13th movie with the 80s slasher grades. Even though it's not an 80s slasher, it's more of a supernatural, and I would rank this movie a solid A. I'm with you for sure. What? Gene Simmons?
Ja, ik heb even mensen. Ja, ik zeg.
You okay?